Let's have a talk.
All right. Oh boy. I think we're overdue for a little chat. But can I just say how nostalgic it feels to be sitting here in the driveway with the Skyline? And hang on, we need to make this a little more accurate, I think. I don't think I've actually had the engine bay popped here at all since we've got that new package in there. But let's sit down and reminisce a little bit. So today, this is gonna be my last video on YouTube for 2026. When am I gonna upload in the new year? I don't know at this point. Sometime in January, I'll be back. But this is the typical end of year video, which every creator makes, saying goodbye to YouTube for 2025, sorry. What is wrong with me? I'm already thinking in 2026, but you guys get the gist of it. But I wanted to sit down and have a chat with you guys. I did a little Q&A kind of question, ask me questions thing on my Instagram story. So I'm gonna go through and answer some of that. But I wanted to talk a little bit about this year, reflect on a few things, talk to you guys about a bunch of stuff that I've learned, grown from, and just experienced this year. And moving into 2026, there's a lot of changes that I want to do. First of all, I guess let's get the most obvious thing out of the way, Formula Drift. Formula Drift Japan this year, 2025, was my hardest year ever in any kind of competitive anything. I've realized a lot about myself that I need to fix, get healing for, and move forward. I think my biggest issue right now is a performance issue where when I'm put, like stage fright kind of thing, right? Like when I have to perform when a ton of people are watching me, I go over the top, overboard, or get nervous. That's something that I'm working on and trying to improve, because the biggest issue is that the more I drive on these days, like practice, I'll go out in the first few laps and I'll do an amazing lap like we practiced on the sim or anything like that. It's more so when we then progress further on throughout practice and I start trying to do more and more and more that I get worse and worse and worse and can't follow the line anymore. And then when it comes to qualifying, we find that after looking at all the data, that if I get into a position where I get points on the board with like a safe run, we're in that first bracket of 10 people or 15 people or so where the judges take time to warm up and kind of work out where the base is, right? Because we had such a bad start to the season with all the bad weather and me not getting seat time in the wet in that car and figuring out how to set it all up for the wet, which was a whole new experience, we put us in that first bracket. So we'd go out and do a great lap, would be top of the, first place for qualifying up until around the 15, 20 people mark, where then they started grading and scoring people a lot higher. And then that was like the new baseline. So then if we had just done the same run again, we would have gotten probably another 5 to 10 points. But what happens is I see that we're barely going to scrape through the top 32. So then I go out there feeling like I need to do something more amazing, and I'll make a simple mistake out there on like the entry, and I'll be like, damn it, we were like one tire out. And in that moment, I'll decide to push it to like 120%. And in Japanese, we say yarisugi, which means doing too much, like putting too much into it or putting too much angle into it, like going over the board, right? And that's my biggest issue, is I need to learn how to stay calm and collected behind the wheel. When it's me driving with the friends and like just having fun and enjoying, I can do the same line, same chase run like behind them back to back, no problem. And like I don't feel any pressure or stress. So figuring out a way to get the mental stuff sorted is probably my biggest thing that I've been working on. I mean, this year as well as going into the new year, we kind of, have done a lot of stuff with that. But I just wanted to give you guys that kind of fill in. Otherwise though, when it comes to the results this year, it was kind of expected. There's a few things that I thought were unfair and I thought we should have qualified a couple more times just because of that whole point thing, but that's also just part of competitive driving. I've spoken to the judges to see what they want, and I've learned a lot about what FD Japan wants to see out of the drivers, and it's quite different to what I imagined. So, learning that driving style, but it's just competitive stuff in general. And otherwise, that's that. I think we can move past that now. I mean, into the new year. I'm not planning on stopping and driving in FD Japan, so I'll be driving in FD Japan again in 2026. I will be using the same car. I don't have any plans of changing setup or anything like that. I want to keep the car as is because I feel like I'm feeling quite comfortable in the car now, but that's, again, that could change, and I might even figure out that, you know, we find another setup later on and I'm more comfortable in it. It's so hard, these comp cars, man. Like, just when you feel comfortable, you can go and make one tiny change and then it changes drastically how much the car feels. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I didn't even know that this could feel this good or this bad. Moving on to the next topic is, I guess, when it comes to competing next year, which I've already touched on with FD, I want to do more, not just in Japan, but overseas. And as those seasons start to ramp up, I'm hoping that there'll be some cool announcements coming, but I can't talk about it because we have to wait for when all the companies that we work with and stuff decide and finalize their budgets and things like that for the new year, which will be probably January, February-ish, maybe a little later depending on when the seasons start for those things. But I want to be competing in series, at least 2 separate series in 2 separate countries next year, because I want to get as much seat time, not in cars, in the competition environment as possible, so that I can just get used to it and more relaxed and stuff like that. But otherwise, that's it. Like, I mean, at this point in time, I would say this year was the hardest, just in that mental game, just because of how much pressure I'd put on myself and always feel like I needed more, or I wasn't doing enough, or like I wasn't supposed to be where I am. I think, you know, the term is like imposter syndrome, right? Like, that's something that I've been really trying to stay on top of, because I've just always felt like I'm never going to be enough. And that comes down to a lot of stuff with school and things that happened when I was growing up that I don't want to get into. Konnichiwa. That was a little awkward, neighbor walking out right at that moment. But from those experiences, I think that's what made me the not giving up type of person that I am today, and always feeling like I can do it no matter what, as long as I just put 110% into it. So it's been fun learning how to balance that. Channel stuff. So let's jump into that. I feel like over the last few years, especially the last 2, I started getting into serious competitive driving, which is J1, and really trying to figure out what I needed to do as a person and a driver to get to try to level up to be professional and competitive at that. And then on top of that, I was balancing becoming a new dad, and then running the business and everything that we're doing there, plus the YouTube channel. So it's been very hard navigating, trying different things, making a lot of mistakes, and figuring out what I need to do to nail that, to you know, get it to where I need it to be. And obviously, you know, I need to hire and employ more people, but the finances and that side of stuff wasn't there to do that. So I just kind of had to try to do everything that I could to make it work. And it's had a really big effect, I think, on the channel and the content and everything that's kind of happened there. Because, you know, there's so much that I have to do on the desk upstairs behind a computer screen that, you know, takes up so much of my time, that I could be, you know, doing the cool, crazy video ideas that I've been dreaming of and wanting to do forever. I think when it comes to everything that I want to do in my lifetime is be a family man, be a good dad, make fun content for a living that I enjoy, that inspires others so that they feel like they can do anything as well, and share my journey with them through the good times and the bad times. I think that's super important. And then drive, compete. That's it. I want to be able to just have fun, share my life and my story, and compete and drive. It's always been the dream. If you guys go back into all the videos, it's everything I always said was that I dreamed of just competing one day. Having good results would be great. Being able to laugh more about getting 000 so many freaking times. But moving on into 2026, I really want to focus more on the community that we've growing that community, and keeping like more of a connection with you guys. So I'm trying to focus on, you know, the Discord as well as the subreddit If you guys haven't joined those yet, please check them out. Links are in the description. And I really want to grow a really nice knit community where we make content that is serving that community, but also, you know, we get to do those fun kind of viral ideas from time to time as well. So we're going to be doing that, but I also just really want to share with you guys a little bit more of the good, the bad, and everything that makes this journey possible. And maybe even some of the business stuff. What that means is moving into the new year, we're going to be having a lot more support from some new companies and some companies we've already been working with and stuff like that. That is going to enable us to be able to employ more staff. And that's going to free up my time and really help me plan and structure our filming schedule a lot more. Things are going to get a little bit more productionized behind the scenes, but we're not writing scripts or anything like that for videos. It's more of just planning filming days and the time that I'm going to be filming. And then after that, things will get, you know, handed off to a filmer editor and things like that within the company, you know, someone that will be working upstairs at the office and stuff like that. So I'm really excited for that because I don't know what life is going to be like without having to sit down and edit for a few hours or whatever after shooting a video or rushing to shoot something to make sure we meet a deadline. So I don't know what that's going to feel like, but I'm excited for getting some time back, which means that I can do some stuff like play games with you guys again on live streams and, you know, talk to you guys in the Discord more, and finally release the Minecraft server that my mods built me almost 2 years ago that we still haven't done anything with because they're waiting for me to do a announcement video about it. Like just that stuff. And then start also filming more videos for the other fun channels that we've created that we haven't done anything with yet. You know, we started filming IT related videos on the SAMMIT channel and stuff, and just really starting to bring back my hobbies, if that makes sense, and share that with you guys. Now's the time where I'm gonna go and have a look at some of the questions you guys asked me through my Instagram story, and hope that they're all appropriate and okay. I love you guys. Geez, you guys are absolutely insane. I posted this a little late. How long ago did I post this? 37 minutes ago, and there's already 500 questions. They're probably all, when are you not gonna get 000, but okay, here we go. When are you coming to Perth? Perth is, if you're looking at a map of Australia, Perth is all the way down over here. My parents actually met in Perth, which is kind of a little bit of a lore, but I'd love to go to Perth at some point. I know there's some really cool stuff out in WA, and I know the drifting culture and scene there is quite explosive. I've heard it's been growing a lot, and I see a few things posted every now and then. It looks like you guys got some cool tracks there, but I'm always open to do events, being the invited guest and stuff like that. But at some point, I would really like to redo a bunch of the stuff that I used to go to in Australia when I lived there and just drive it with one of my cars and send one of my cars over. Let's move on to a couple more questions here. Are you going to put the Chaser's engine in the Altezza in the future? No. What we're going to be doing is body swapping it. We're going to get a fresh Chaser JZX100 NA from the auctions, and we're going to be swapping everything over. And before you say anything, the Chaser actually was, it's very damaged. The person who owned it before me completely twisted and bent up the rear end. There's pictures of the whole rear end folded over on itself. So it's always been a little kinked, that chassis, and I'm excited to drive a JZX100 that isn't bent and like compensating for it with adjustable arms and things like that. So I think it's going to be really cool. And we're going to be reinforcing and stitch welding a few things in the engine bay to try and help it be so like soft on those side hits and impacts and stuff like that. So if it does happen again, hopefully it doesn't push the strut tower all the way to the brake master. But that right hand side, that driver's side front, has already been on a frame machine and pulled out straight 3 times now. So it's too soft now to bother with it, and we could change the whole front end, but the same price for me to get a chopped front end, welding it and paying for the frame guy and everything to do it all, would be double the amount of money it is for me to just buy a whole new shell here in Japan. So that's why we're going to just go down the route of shell swapping it. I will be keeping the shell for a period of time, seeing if I can come up with something to do with it and maybe just like pull it out, but we'll see. How were you able to overcome the thoughts of leaving family behind when I moved to Japan? I'm just going to be straight up here. Very ADHD. I probably should be medicated. I very much should be medicated, but somehow I've been able to get through life as is. The cons of ADHD is you don't really miss anybody. And I mean that in the most nicest possible way. Like, I have family back home and I love them. I'd do anything for them, do whatever I need to do to help them out. but I just don't miss people. What is interesting though is when I'm away for like business trips and stuff like that, I miss May and I miss Hugo. I miss like my direct family. I think, I don't know, it's weird. Maybe I'm not the only one that's like this, but yeah, just Google it. It's an ADHD thing. It's like kind of one of the cons or pros. I don't know how you look at it, but yeah, I mean, definitely when I moved to Japan, like it was like starting life again, because everything you have to learn from scratch how to do something. Like you can't just apply what you've done back home when you would buy a car and register a car and everything to life here in Japan, or how would you go and rent a house or get a bank account? Like everything is different. You're starting from zero. It's like being born again and going through life again when you move to a foreign country like this, especially like Japan from Australia. Every system is different. Not a single system is the same. And learning how everything is from scratch is quite tough. And that's why normally we talk about the honeymoon period here, where people will move to Japan and they'll barely last anywhere from 6 months to 2 to 3 years, and they'll start resenting and hating living in Japan, and they'll go home super salty, hating Japan, and talk nothing but crap about it because they just never really got through it. Either they didn't have people to help them or a friend group or something, or they just didn't have what it takes to move and live in another country and be able to assimilate, right? That's the number one thing. But also I think, also having ADHD does help because it makes you super naive and you just take one thing at a time and you're always distracted and stuff like that. But I don't think I've ever honestly been homesick or missed my family. They're always a phone call away. We live in such an incredible world now, technology, where I can see their face through a screen quite easily, quickly at any point in time. And the time zone's the same too, so that makes things nice. It's just an hour difference for us. But yeah, it's definitely something I think like normal people would struggle with, especially if you're really close with your family and you miss them and stuff like that, and you're not like me. Yeah, I think it does take a special kind of person to move away, very far away, over to an entirely different country from your friends and family and start again. Like it's not for normal people, I feel like, if that makes any sense. Moving on. Is Japan a good place for people with social anxiety? That's a very interesting question. And I would say yes. I have massive social anxiety. I've always struggled with going up and talking to people just because of, stuff that's happened in my past growing up and school and things like that. But especially even now, like it's even crazier, I feel like. But it's something I get through, I make sure whenever I try to always push through, but it drains my social battery really quickly. But I'd say Japan is probably quite good. Just the mannerisms, how everyone is, the culture itself is very, very, I don't want to say open. I feel like it's inviting. Like it's so, I guess for a social anxiety person, how the culture works with introductions and stuff and meeting people for the first time, there's a system in place. So, you can't just walk up to someone and be like, yo, what's up? And high five them kind of thing. There's actually a proper way to introduce yourself to someone and them to respond and everything. And there's a system there. Japan's all about systems and step by step by step by step. Ikkozutsu, which means little by little by little. And I feel like for people with social anxiety, that is really, really good for us. It's really good knowing that there's a system, and if anything's outside of that, it's not the norm. And if you're feeling uncomfortable, there's generally that means that person potentially could be a red flag or something weird's going on, or you're just all drunk at a bar. But if you're drunk at a bar, then social anxiety really goes out the window, doesn't it? But anyways, yeah, I feel like Japan would be a more receptive place for someone with social anxiety. It could also maybe make it a little worse, because then if you go back home where those systems don't exist and that culture doesn't exist, it might be even heightened, right? Because nothing's as to what you've gotten used to here, which I do sometimes struggle with. When I go, to America or to Australia, back to home, everything's a little overwhelming because it's out of my comfort zone now, if that makes sense. Someone asked me to make a update video and cover every single project car and what's happening to it. I'll just quickly go through it. Abandon S15, Spoon's hopefully coming in February. We're just locking stuff in with his busy schedule for when he can come. So hopefully in February he'll be coming to help me finish that. Street S15, I'm just waiting for Okachan to give me the go ahead for him to do paint and body, but I might take it to Tanaka-san to get the tune dialed in. before then. At the same time, Spoon, when he's here, will probably help me with cutting and welding the rear fenders so that there's a lot more clearance there. The Abandoned R32 will be happening after those two projects are finished. And after that, I'm just trying to think what other project cars there are, would be Maze Cresta. I think that's kind of like the line of things that we want to do it. We're just, obviously we can't do everything in one hit. Touching on to what we were saying at the start of the video with financing and structuring the business and all that kind of stuff. Things have been so all over the place. It's been very, very hard for me to actually like have those projects all planned out in a way that we're going boom, 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 when we're suffering in all those other areas and my time and everything. So really looking forward to the new year and that new structure that we're putting in place. Otherwise, I'm trying to think of any other project cars. Bogan 32's finished. The Chaser, will be body swapping that. I wouldn't call that a project car though, because that'll just happen in like a week. We'll have that finished start to finish. I think that's kind of it with the project stuff. If I'm forgetting something, that's wild. I guess though, the other cars, like we sold the S13 in the USA, we sold the E36 in the USA, the Dirty Six, the Rust Bucket one that was at Adams Compound. The 200SX, the 180 in Australia is still there. I have some plans to do something with that this year, so keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, I don't think there's anything else I'm forgetting. I think that's it. If I forgot anything, I'm sorry. Ask me in the comments. I'll reply to you and pin it. Next question. What's the best advice you can give someone trying to start doing YouTube around cars? Ooh, it's such a saturated market right now. I feel like everyone's trying to make videos about cars and stuff like that, which is good, which is great. There's more information out there than ever before. My advice is just start doing it. Stop talking about doing it and one day starting it and doing it. Start doing it now, because it takes everyone, on average, it takes like what, 3 to 5 years before you get good at something or start to understand and learn and do like to get good at it. So start now and then start to figure it out along the way. When it comes to making content, make content that you enjoy, that you would watch yourself, and invite your friends and family and everyone to kind of like be a part of it, support you, watch the videos, because they're going to be your #1 fans when you start off. And then just keep focusing on those two things, making content for yourself and having fun, and just do it. Be consistent. Consistency is key. If you want to actually start doing this, the minimum I recommend is 1 upload a week right now, and build from that. Grow a community. Have fun. That's the most important one. But yeah, so many people, I think, miss the boat because they never start it. And if you don't start it, because you're like, oh, when I get this or when I get that event, then eventually I'll start it because then the content will be good or the quality will be good. No, that's not how it works. It takes you years before you get good at something. So the sooner you start, the sooner you get to the point where you're good at it and things get explosive and snowball and get out of control. But also the best thing is you want that natural journey and progression, because more than ever do people strive and want connection. Right now, people are sick of the fake people. People are sick of just seeing a perfect life every day being portrayed on Instagram or social media, right? People want a real life and a real journey. And I think that's something that I've always really tried to focus on too, right? What's your plans with the Altezas right now? My current plan with the Alteza is I really want to make cheap missiles again, right? Right now, if you look at the Chasers, right? They used to be like a $6,000 buy-in. You'd get 1JZ VVTi turbo, and you could just beat on them non-stop. They wouldn't die. Super reliable Toyota stuff. And then now they're like a $30,000 car. It's wild, dude. Some people have literally been buying the Ebisu drift missiles that are beaten up, putting them on a frame machine, straightening them out, slapping some new bodies and welding panels on and stuff, and then flipping the cars for 30, 40 grand. It's insane, right? So I want to go back to having fun with, cars again that don't cost crazy amounts of money. You can get an Alteza, and if we can figure out this recipe for a 1G, because there's a lot of guys in Australia and New Zealand figuring it out, doing some really cool stuff. There's some guys making like 800 kilowatts or something out of some of these 1Gs, and they're essentially the newer version of the 1G GTE that was in like the A60 Supra, I believe, the Celica Supra. So there's a lot of similarities there, obviously being the blocks are kind of the same and a bunch of stuff like that we're all learning about. And if we can figure out a way where you buy one of those Altezas, because like in Japan, it's not hard to convince someone to give you one of those 1G Altezas or IS200s for free. Like that's how many there are here, especially in Okinawa. Like I got that Alteza for pretty much for free. I swapped it for a Hydro. So, like if you can definitely get them for like $1,000. So if you can get one for $500 to $1,000, throw $3 to $4,000 at it. You've got a $6,000 drift missile that's super reliable potentially, that body parts and panels are crazy cheap for, because you could just buy another whole car for $500 to $1,000 again. Like, it's the dream perfect missile, and all the knuckle stuff is the same as Chase's. The rear end is even better and reinforced than a Chaser. It doesn't fall apart and peel away from the chassis like E36s do. It's like there's a bunch of stuff like that, but that's the main reason with the Altezza. I wanted to build and work on something and try to figure out a recipe for that, because there's so many of those cars in the USA. It's a cheap, dirty car that everyone can have fun with. It's a, you know, it's an box, right? And I just want to do something different. I think people right now, touching back on kind of what we spoke about just before, is like people want content they can relate to. I don't want to build these crazy expensive, you know, supercars and stuff like that, because like I just think that that's not relevant anymore, you know, especially right now. Times are hard, but at the same time, I miss having fun with cars to the point where you don't care if you crash, because there's no, like, these cars aren't worth 50 grand to 100 grand anymore, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's kind of like my thought process with the Altezzas, if that makes sense. I want us to be able to enjoy cars again and not worry about damaging them, or just actually damaging them in intention, you know, like cutting them out, turning them into, you know, death carts, or turning them into utes, or like, you know what I mean? Like just having fun again. I think it's just, YouTube is so, it's so played out, like automotive YouTube right now, and all the main guys are like working on crazy expensive projects, which is, yeah, it's cool. They're getting dream cars and stuff like my Supra and things like that, right? Like that's a dream of mine. But we built it. Now let's get back to more of like the fun, dirty, like getting your hands dirty, and just, let's get back to our roots. Let's get back to those fun cars that are such a cheap buy-in that anyone can enjoy. I guess that's kind of what I want to do with that. So that's like my main focus with the Altezzas. Just really quickly, I also want to add that we are currently doing our Fukubukuro mystery luck bags that we do at the end of every year. We have the big luck bag, which is over $100 of merch crammed in there. Then we have the small luck bag, which is, I don't know if you heard that, Crow. We have the small luck bag, which is crammed with over $50 worth of SAMMIT merch. And then we have a Dammit SAMMIT luck bag or box. And if you want to experience SAMMIT luck, definitely read the description of that product too. I love what my employees did there. I think it's a good meme. Yeah, go check them out, sammit.net. Your support is greatly appreciated as always. Moving on, I think we're good with all the questions for now, but what I do want to just touch on before we wrap this up is if there's anything that you get out of my videos from being a part of this community and watching along, is that this is a journey. You can go back however long ago it was when we started uploading videos, and you can see that I have grown and learned so much as a person, as a driver, as a content creator, everything. I've grown up with you guys while making videos on YouTube. We, I think, now have over 1,800 videos, which is insane to even think about. I've dedicated a chunk of my life to this. I need a touchy out here to calm the crows down. But all I want to say is thank you for being a part of this. I know I've done some dumb stuff. ADHD doesn't also help with me, you know, feeling like such a huge injustice has been done, and I open my mouth at like the most inappropriate times sometimes. But that's just me. That's just who I am. And all my friends, thank God, I have these incredible people around me that know what my heart is, and know that it's not my intention to ever upset anybody. But it does happen sometimes. It's just part of who I am, and I've just come to learn to live with it, as I'm sure you guys have too. So thank you for putting up with me. But it's a journey. It's been fun. I've learned so much. 36 years old now, and I've grown up with you guys essentially. So thank you for sticking around. I'm really excited for 2026 in the future. And I think it's time to put 2025 to bed. It feels like we've finally wrapped up everything from 2020, the whole COVID stuff, to bed. Obviously, you know, the economical stuff and stuff like that, I think it's going to be tough for a bit, but I feel like 2026 is a good time. I think it's going to be the best year yet, especially since then. And I'm wishing all of you the best too. Something I just want to say and share with you is my New Year's resolution for like the last 10 years. It's wild. I've been in Japan for 10 years, but it has always been to start going to the gym and be regular. This year, I finally did that. So I finally ticked that off. This year's my New Year's resolution for 2026 isn't going to be that same one that it has been for the last 10 years. So I hope all of you have experienced the same thing this year. I hope you've been able to tick a goal off. I hope you're able to put something to bed that you don't want to bring with you into 2026, and you're looking at life with a new picture, a new vision. I don't know. I'm trying to encourage you all, because I know 2025 has been tough for me, and I'm sure for you guys as well. So thank you. Wishing you all the best. I will see you sometime in January. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for your support. I would not be where I am today with this incredible life that you've enabled me to be able to live, because you watch the content, you support us, and you're part of this community. Thank you guys. We'll see you in the next one. Jamata.
Drink my precious.